This is BHAMBRA here for PSB Sports. We're here in London today and I'm very happy to be joined by a promoter of Joseph Parker. We have David Higgins from Duco Events. How are you doing, David?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all, David. No worries at all. David, I caught up with you, I believe it was the start of December, over the phone. I think we did 2 phone interviews about these Joshua Parker negotiations. So now it's all done, it's all finalised. How do you look back on the negotiation process with Matchroom and Eddie?
I think that it was a successful negotiation campaign. You know, when Joseph Parker retained his heavyweight title against Hughie Fury, that following week or two, we didn't think that our next fight would be a massive intercontinental unification bout at Principality Stadium in front of 80,000 fans and maybe a billion viewers on TV. We didn't think that would be the case. We thought that, you know, we might end up fighting some other voluntaries or whatever. But, you know, we did make some inquiries, and the initial offer from Matchroom was on the lower side, and so we embarked on an edgy, provocative campaign to highlight what we saw as Joshua's weaknesses and to raise Joseph Parker's profile in the UK. Because Eddie Hearn was right. Back then, not that many people in the UK knew who Joseph Parker was, and also a lot of UK fans thought Joshua was unbeatable and has no weaknesses. But so we could sort of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I think, by highlighting Joshua's questionable chin, which 1, raised Joseph Parker's profile, 2, it angered a lot of fans, creating a rivalry, and 3rd, it highlighted the weaknesses of Joshua so that people saw it as a more competitive fight. So effectively it made the event bigger, and fast forward 2-3 months later, the financial terms are, I think, fair to both parties now, and so the fight's on.
One particular line I got from you in the first interview you did say to me that anything less than 35% would be a slap in the face. So was there any movement on that at all? I know you can't say too much.
Yeah, look, yeah, there was. We moved a little, and their side moved a little. Both the parties compromised, and so we arrived at a ratio between 30 and 35%, and I think it's fair to both parties.
Are you happy with the rematch clause being in place for this match? Should Joseph win it?
Sorry, yeah. I think that's fair, because Joshua is a commercial juggernaut, and let's be honest, a lot of the tickets and television are driven by Joshua. So, and he's got 2 belts, 3. Joseph has 1. So I think it's fair and reasonable that they should have a rematch clause in their favour.
Additionally, as well, I know the press conference you guys did in New Zealand of the fighters who had dropped anti-Joshua. I know that caused some stirs here in the UK, vice versa, and obviously, you know, the fight has happened, so you could argue that it was a sort of good ploy from yourselves to sort of do it, because it got the fight going. The fans were like, oh god, you know, kind of will see Joshua v Parker even more than before. So looking back on that press conference now, how do you view it now the fight's been made?
It was successful. That press conference was I guess a turning point in generating public interest in the fight in England. You know, outraged a lot of people. The 2 things we were trying to discuss at the press conference were, 1, Joshua, does he have a questionable chin? And we have evidence of at least half a dozen people who have flattened Joshua. It's true. That's not disrespectful, it's not trash talk, it's a statement of fact. And second, what is a fair ratio to be paid to another world champion in a unification bout? And it was to create discussion around those things. Eddie and AJ's response, or Eddie was quite smart actually. He avoided discussing Joshua's chin, didn't even go near it, didn't even respond, and he avoided talking about the fair purse ratio, and instead he criticised the footage of the presser that came through on Facebook. So he sort of sidestepped the issue, but all the banter and talk that came off the back of it, I think, definitely helped make this fight possible.
One thing I want to ask you about as well is, I noticed when all of this was going on, Joseph was tweeting anti-Joshua, saying hashtag never been dropped, and obviously, as you mentioned, Joseph has never been dropped, amateur or pro, and so obviously people can take away from that is that he does have a good chin, because he hasn't been dropped, which is fair enough to say. Obviously, Josh has been knocked down before in the pros against Vladimir Klitschko. In terms of the battle of the chins, how important do you think that will be in this fight?
Well, I think Joshua's style is perfect for Joseph Parker. We were trying to fight Joshua a few years ago, and guys like Huey Fury that sort of tuck their chin and back off and are tricky don't suit Joseph's style, I think, although we got the win. Joshua's really made, he sort of squares up, he's more predictable, he comes forward, his footwork ain't that good, and he looks to win by knockout Joshua, so that's perfect for Joseph, and Joseph will come forward looking for knockout too, and so that means they could quite easily end up trading in exchanges, and that's when the chin is critical. If they're trading, we're going to find out, and that's the beauty of boxing, I guess. Is the unknown. It's going to be a test of their punching power and their chins.
I want to ask you about your little sort of segment you had on Sky Sports News yesterday. Obviously, that was with yourself and Eddie Hearn. What do you make of that yesterday? Obviously, you were being asked, both of you were being asked questions about the fight. So how did you find it yesterday on Sky Sports News? I know it went down when on social media. Everyone thought it was quite a good little segment with both of you.
Yeah. Look, it was fine. That's all part of promoting, and I thought it was a good debate, and hopefully there'll be a few more like that.
I know you said that Joshua was squirming. You said that Joseph's one of the most mentally strongest people you know. So how important is the mental game in this fight, and obviously the rounds going into the later rounds, because Joseph is perceived to have a very good stamina as well.
Yeah.
And obviously Anthony Joshua has been the furthest, has been his 11 rounds. So how important do you think is the stamina in this fight as well?
Well, look, in terms of whether Joshua is mentally tough or squirming, let's just look at the facts. When Joseph came out talking about Joshua's chin, Joshua came out and said, quote, "Parker's trying to demonise me." Now, what does that mean? Like, all Joseph did was state facts that Joshua's been dropped a few times. That's not trying to demonise, and that to me shows a bit of being rattled mentally. And then just lately saying he won't shake Joseph's hand. He's declared that 2 months before the fight. And then saying you want to be like Roger Federer. Can you imagine Roger Federer beating someone at Wimbledon and then not shaking the opponent's hand? And to say that this far out, I think shows evidence that he mentally rattled, and that's not disrespect. I think it's plain to see. Joseph is very, very mentally tough and unflappable. You'd never see Joseph complaining about the banter that goes with boxing. Boxing is a sometimes violent sport, a combative sport, and the words said outside the ring. What's done in the ring is more disrespectful than what's done outside. You've got guys trying to knock each other out, and so if you can't handle the banter that goes with the sport and has done since day dot. I mean, remember Muhammad Ali's one-liners, etc. Like, Joseph just laughs that stuff off. You wouldn't see him getting hot under the collar like Anthony Joshua clearly is.
Can we expect any fireworks from the press conference?
I don't know, we shall see. Like I said, Joseph will be very relaxed. He doesn't get phased, he won't be wound up or tense. He'll be relaxed and happy.
Additionally as well, so one more thing I want to speak to you about is, can you talk to me a bit about stamina of both fighters? I know Joseph can go the rounds, he's done it numerous times. Who do you think has a better stamina at this rate, should the fight go the distance?
I think Joseph clearly has better stamina, and Joshua showed that he starts to lag a bit in the later rounds. So in my opinion, Parker has better stamina.
And in terms of the fight he had against Vladimir Klitschko, that was his toughest, that was the acid test, that was his toughest point fight up to date. What do you make of Joshua's performance against Klitschko looking back now?
I thought that was an exciting event and a good win. I mean, Klitschko is one of the greats, but it has to be remembered that he timed it right. Joshua got Klitschko at the right time, coming off a loss, hadn't fought in over a year, over 40 years old, and there's that saying, every boxer has a fight in which they grow old in the ring, and then Klitschko retired straight after, so maybe his heart wasn't quite in it anymore. But Joshua got Klitschko at just the right time, and he only just got over him. Klitschko was probably winning the fight up until the end of it.
And do you have a prediction for the viewers at PSP Sports? What will happen on March the 31st?
Yeah, I'm picking Joseph Parker to win by knockout in the later rounds once Joshua starts tiring.
Well, David Higgins, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you in person this time. I know we were usually over the phone, and we wish you a very successful trip to the UK and hope to see you soon.
Great, thank you.